Daddy of Dungeon Masters. The Daddy Mac of voice actors. The ultimate storyteller, entertainer, and an international Dungeons and Dragons sensation. You may know him as, almost everybody. So many characters, both digital, animated, and real. But today, he will be here as Matthew Mercer! So, I understand almost everybody here is a D&D player.
I think probably a number of you. Raise your hand if you rolled some dice at a table. Okay. I think you may be correct.
And so am I.
Good! Yes!
Yes!
Good.
Otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here. And what I love about D&D is the DM. He's my favorite person always.
Well, you have to be, because if you don't treat him well, your character won't last a while.
Oh, he's the...
Yeah, you know how to handle it.
Speaking of, famously in my D&D group, I am the person with the most deaths. So I have already killed off about 3 characters.
So you should show your DM that you like them more than you do?
Yeah, I think, that might be it, yeah.
That's good though. And then look, I love the idea of embracing death as a narrative device, and it's also an opportunity to try out something new, so good on you.
Also, one of my characters, a paladin, he became an evil character, and then he switched over as a tool for my DM, so I lost my character.
That's kind of awesome.
And then I had to face him in the last act of the campaign as a boss.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I almost had that happen in our second Critical Role campaign with one of my players who was on the cusp. Yeah, some folks, one of our player characters, Caleb, played by Liam O'Brien, had nearly turned to a dark side and was talking to me in between sessions and was like, I don't know if Caleb's gonna stay with the group. I was like, okay, well if you feel that happens, let me know, because then he's mine. And that was pretty fun.
Yes, yeah, all my friends are goody two-shoes, and then we actually had like an alignment, what do you call it, conflict. And I didn't know I was a bad person until I had that conflict.
Much like real life, you don't realize you're a bad person until you have that conflict.
You learn so much of yourself playing D&D.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
What have you learned about yourself as a DM?
Oh, everything. I don't know who I was before I started playing this game. No, I do. I was a very introverted, quiet kid. And then I just became a louder, introverted, quiet kid. So yeah, I guess not a whole lot's changed. But no, through role-playing games in general, video games as well, but like role-playing games really kind of showed me what my form of love language was to my friends, like gifting them experiences, gifting them, opportunities to play. That was something that I used to show people I cared about them, and I didn't know that really until I had come into these games. And then it was just trying to find friends for many years who were into that sort of gift. For a long time, especially in the US, there was a long era of misunderstanding about D&D. It was either, that's that nerdy thing that you'd only play in your basement with Cheeto crumbs, or Satan. And those were like, for a while, kind of the 2 interpretations of it. So I'm glad that's not the case as much anymore, obviously.
Nerds and geeks, yeah. You're a superstar. You are a superstar now. I'm sorry, you are.
This is still weird to me. I'm coming on 10 years this coming year of streaming our game, and It's extremely wild. I'm tired but grateful, I think is kind of my response.
Speaking of those D&D friends, I had the honor of, in one of my most geeky moments in my life, I was playing D&D and then I had to interrupt the session to go and interview a certain voice actress for a certain role in Marvel's Avengers, the video game. You might know her, Laura Bailey, of course.
We've run into each other a few times, yeah.
Yeah, you've run in. So, of course, this is now my most geeky moment in my life from now on.
It's only just begun.
Of course, she was Black Widow in Marvel's Avengers. But you weren't in that game, right? Why weren't you? And if you were in the game, which superhero would you want to play?
Interestingly enough, I was technically going to be in it, but they were plotting a DLC. I think I can talk about this, I don't know. They were plotting a DLC that was going to be a showdown with Loki, and I was cast as Loki in that.
Oh, really?
And then it didn't really go forward, because that's how it happens sometimes. But, so in some metaphorical alternate timeline universe, I technically was in it, but yeah, that's how it goes.
Oh wow, you as Loki. I mean, have you done his voice before?
I mean, not in any professional circumstance, but
okay.
I've done it privately in the shower a number of times. Try what you must, brother. Tom Hiddleston, he performs with his lower jaw a lot. Have you noticed that? Like, you, will not be stopped. Lower teeth out. It's little nuances to performers you learn.
Together with Troy Baker, you must be one of the best imitators in the world, I think.
I'm happy to hold a candle near someone like Troy. He's way too friggin' talented. He must be destroyed. Sorry, that has to be.
Yeah, some people are way too talented to live. I agree, definitely. So, some might think that of you, but well, you know.
Come at me, bro. I'll hug you until you.
So before you could make money with being a DM, because that's not that long, at least you started at what, 2018 or something like that? But before, you were mainly a voice actor, of course, and I scrolled way down on your list on IMDb, and the first entry I saw was one of my favorite anime movies in existence, Akira.
Akira, yeah.
You did a voice for Akira, that's crazy.
Well, it was, to be fair, it was the redub in the early 2000s of it, not the original 80s dub, because I would have been 6. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I grew up an anime nerd myself, and Akira is one of those animated projects that the first time you see it, you realize, oh, animation can be artistic adult storytelling. Like what you thought were just cartoons, or like at least the large spectrum of the world sees as cartoons. You're like, no, this is a fantastic medium for telling all sorts of stories, but very adult, very incredible genre-based stories, sci-fi, fantasy. And that was one of those movies that really kind of changed my perspective. So that they can just be like a tiny little voice when I was just starting out in there, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
And then you went on to do many other anime shows. And like you said, there are so many good ways to tell a story, comics, and also video games. I've been playing Dragon Age, the Veilguard, this week. You have a couple of voices in there, don't you?
I have a few characters in there, yeah. Voice Anaris, which is one of the elven, well, there's this whole narrative, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he's a bad guy. Voice a character called the Viper, who's kind of like Mage Batman, I guess you could say.
His voice definitely is Batman-ish.
Sure, yeah. That was very much the intent for those organizations, was like, you know, to Vinter Batman. And then, of course, Manfred, who is the best little skeleton buddy anybody could have hoped for.
I love it. We're in a crowd where somebody screams when you say the name Manfred from a video game.
He's the best!
Yeah, he is pretty awesome.
He's a good little skelly boy! He's really bad at rock, scissors, paper, but he's enthusiastic, and that's what counts.
But you have a long history with that series, right? I mean, you've been in it from the beginning, or at least a couple of parts. The Dragon Age, I mean.
Dragon Age, actually, this is my first Dragon Age game.
Really?
Yeah. I've played them all.
Okay.
I've played all of them.
You still have this.
This is the first one I was playing. It was like one of those fantasy projects. I was like trying to collect them. I'm like, all right, as a fantasy nerd, I want to be part of this one and this one. Still haven't done an Elder Scrolls yet. I'm calling my shot. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, especially since I think they brought me in to do Anaris originally, and then did the Viper stuff, and then they were like, we really want you to try this Manfred character, and I was like, cool, let me see the script. Oh, that's it? It's just hissing? Hell yeah, let's go. It's just a whole session of doing all these different emotions. It's like extremely happy, sad, and just a whole session of just various types of hissing sounds, and it was so much fun.
Great. Well, I can ask you, I think, 1,000 more questions, but I think it's about time to ask the crowd. And I'm expecting a long line of D&D players. I accidentally said spelers. That's
all right.
Just a few questions.
Yeah, just a handful.
I'll try and keep somewhat. Brevity will be the intent on this one, so I can get through as many questions as I can, I think.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So no script reading, please.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Hi. Me and my soon-to-be husband will go on a honeymoon to the US.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
And for our honeymoon, we're going to see your lovely show, The Christmas one in Philadelphia. Yes. So see you in 2 weeks, but leading to my question, are there any plans to come and do a live show in Europe?
It sounds like you're pretty popular here, so I would definitely think about it.
Well, I will say, you know, we did our first live show last year
in London.
In London, at Wembley, and it went far better than we could have ever anticipated. And then we were like, well, this year we're trying out Australia, and that went really well, even just something else. So we love it here. We would love to, we've definitely talked about the possibility, so I can't confirm anything because it's a bit early, but we're definitely discussing it. Would you guys want to see a live show? Yes! All right, I'll bring that back and let everyone else know.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yes.
I can suggest a couple of nice venues in Amsterdam, I think.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you, I'm good. I just wanted to ask you, first of all, congratulations on the Christmas album, because I love it so much. My favorite song is Zim Zim Za, because I keep singing it along.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, my question is, who came up with the idea to start that particular album?
Well, Sam Riegel.
Yeah, duh.
It was a joke. Everything starts as a joke, and then there's a pause, and then someone, usually Sam goes like, no, but like, what if we did? And we're like, no, stop it. And he's like, I've already written out a few pieces. And Peter Habib, who is like his musical partner and has worked all throughout Legend of Vox Machina, he's like, we've already worked up some tunes. Are you available next Tuesday to record? I'm like, what are you doing?
Amazing.
So yeah, like a lot of things we do, it just gets out of hand quickly. So
I don't mind. Let things go.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. We had a lot of fun putting it together.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
Vox Machina cartoon was also a joke at first, right?
Yeah. It was like, oh man, that'd be so cool. That'd be wild. What if? Nah. No, but what if?
I hope you're well and that you had a good trip here.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Okay.
I had to go to the Amsterdam dungeon yesterday. It was delightfully cheesy.
Oh, that's really, really nice.
Good thing you asked, because I didn't ask.
Well, my question is, how do you keep a straight face while DMing and not just completely laugh all the time with your players?
And many dungeon masters in here can attest to that, and game masters. Half of you is present with your players, and the other half is desperately running all the rest of your processing power on all the sheets in front of you and all the, oh god, we're breaking everything mentality. So part of it is just panic. Perpetual panic does help keep a straight face for some of it. And then another 25% is just the herding of cats mentality. And then the other 25% that is present, that can kind of chuckle every now and then, but also you have to be the parent in the room, and you know, as long as you hold that responsibility and that 25%, you can largely be okay some of the time.
Okay.
So, but those are my secrets.
Okay, perfect, because I have such a hard time keeping a straight face, and it's always like, what the hell is going on? But I'll definitely try to keep it in mind.
Yeah, I mean, so panic more.
Yeah.
That's what I recommend. Or allow yourself internally to just be screaming in the background most of the time. And if that doesn't work out, like also pinching your thumb a little hard, that works for a lot of things, folks.
That's a good thing, thank you.
There you go.
Give it up for this DM!
Why, hello, Laura.
Hello, Matt.
You look amazing.
I was wondering if you ever get very insecure during DMing and how you deal with that.
It's a good question. Yes, often. Like I said, I'm coming up on 10 years of doing this, and every session before we start, I'm just by myself at the table for about 15, 20 minutes, just kind of like trying to focus, trying to get over the jitters, the nerves, they're always there. So they never go away, you know, for most folks. So hopefully it's more of a comfort than anything else, knowing that that's part of the process. As far as the insecurity goes, yeah, almost every session afterward I check in with my players and be like, did you have fun? You know, is there any notes you have? Anything that you want me to work on in the future? And we've been doing this 10 years, so usually they're like, Matt, shut up. But that never really goes away, but that also means you care. That's how I interpret it. The insecurity is because you care, because you hope that you're doing a good job, and it's a responsibility of your players to also help express any insecurity you have, and for everyone to support each other at that table. Role-playing games are a very vulnerable thing, and acknowledging that vulnerability and the shared responsibility of supporting each other at that table is extremely important to facilitating what can be an extremely positive, extremely healthy bonding experience. So just being open with that communication and being okay with expressing if you have that insecurity, and letting your friends and players the opportunity to tell you otherwise. And if there is any concerns, accept it not as a place of, oh God, I'm doing bad, but because any collaboration is getting a bunch of individual people with different brains and different perspectives together and go like, all right, this is messy, how can we make it the least messy thing possible? So just keeping those things in mind hopefully can help a little bit, but communication is really the key.
Thank you.
Oh, good question.
Hey, thank you. So embrace the jitters.
Yeah, you have to embrace the jitters, because they're always there. If you're not nervous about it, then you're better than I am.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I've got my friend from Aruba here. She couldn't be here today, but she's a huge Critical Role fan, so...
You're here in spirit and remotely.
So her question was, what was your favorite character to voice in Campaign 3, and what made it so fun for you?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
Campaign 3.
Oh man, here's the thing. Lutenus Deleth is such an asshole. Such a pompous, self-obsessed. Like there's something delicious about playing a character that's so up his own ass. It's because it gives an opportunity for the players to try and find a way to like poke him and kind of, knock him down a little bit. And it's funny because when I'm in that role, I feel myself getting frustrated, but I have to remind myself, no, it's him getting frustrated, and that's good, and leaning into it. So he's a lot of fun for that reason. But as far as like just playful performance, Captain Xandus is such a... They are just this unbridled bit. They're like my Jester. If like, Lord Bailey's Jester is my Xandus in Campaign 3. This like absolute unleashed, I don't know what's gonna come out of their mouth the minute that they're on the stage. Yeah, Xandus is probably one of the most fun ones in Campaign 3, definitely.
Thank you so much. Have fun, both of you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Nice. Everybody's so nice and calm.
I know, this is great.
Hey Matt, fancy seeing you here.
Yeah, you as well.
My question is about, I'm running a game in Exandria, and I thought it would be fun to run like a cultist thing, but now I have a bit of trouble seeing the motivations behind a cult, which is normally like more power, more blood, more insanity. So maybe you can provide some tips on how to run cults.
Yeah, I mean,
How to be a cultist.
well, strangely, when you think of a cult, it's very easy to go to the classic, like they want blood power, they are worshipping some great entity for power. Power's the thing. And yeah, that exists. But also, doing a little bit of history on real-world cults, and find a lot of really interesting inspiration. A lot of times, a singular person wants power, everyone else wants community. They want a place to belong. They're like, a lot of people, it's manipulation of folks that feel like they're outsiders or misfits in society, and somebody gives them a place to belong, and then manipulates that space. So, as opposed to a communal idea of a cult, think of what insecurity or what kind of common thread amongst a community of that insecurity can be manipulated by a leader, whether that be the person who's the head of the cult or the entity that the cult is giving its attention and worship to. So I suppose it could just be like a twisted sense of keeping a communal balance. Maybe it's a twist of sacrifice, that everyone who survives has a joyous life, and an exalted, joyful day, but they have to decide every week which one of them gets sacrificed. Maybe it has to do with a very altruistic idea that has a dark undertone to it. Like honestly, researching real-world cults through all of history is a very good point of inspiration to see like how different they are in ways you don't expect, but also find the threads of similarity between them that really makes them a cult, and kind of take that as a point of inspiration.
Thank you very much.
Of course, yeah, good question.
Getting inside of in the head of a cultist, I mean, that's only in D&D, right?
Well, you also, strangely enough, in that research, might learn how to avoid getting into a cult.
Yes.
I love watching those documentaries so that you can pick up on the different tells of people that are those sort of manipulators. So that if ever you encounter one of them, you can be like, no, what'd you do? I'm good. Move on. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
I just want to say thank you for inspiring me and Hannah, who's sadly no longer with us. So she was like the biggest critter I knew, so thank you very much. As for the question, every DM has their favorite NPC they love to play. So which NPC that you played in Critical Role throughout all campaigns would get its own spin-off animated show?
Its own spin-off animated show?
Great question.
Oh my goodness. Oh no. I mean,
maybe you should start it as a joke and then go from there.
Maybe. I mean, as far as like my favorite NPCs, like an Allura series would be funny because it's just the long-suffering Allura having to deal with just idiots around her at all times. But no, I feel like Sean Gilmore would be such a colorful story to follow. Like his life, his journey would be fantastic. Plus, like him in the competitive world of arcane merchants and I think there's some fun bits there. Oh man, Artagan would be. We've only explored a little bit of him in comics outside of the campaigns, but he is just he's another fun NPC I love playing because he's unbridled chaos and just absolute id is awesome. And Essex a sweet boy too, but I feel like Essex stories tied so closely to the Mighty Nine from their campaign forward that maybe like a prequel or something. But I think definitely Artagan and Sean Gilmore would be two strong contenders for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Appreciate it, buddy.
Maybe we should start asking names because it makes it a little more personal, right? What's your name?
Sorry.
No, go ahead, take your time.
I'm Seth Domare.
Hey!
Hello.
Archivist of the Kobolds, so it's Sandra in Uber and the person your players keep forgetting. Yep. I'm doing some research. I have a question. It's 109 days to the 10th anniversary of Critical Role. And we always heard like the story how the shits turned into Vox Machina, obviously, but we never heard the story about, at least I haven't,
where did Critical Role come from, and were there other names?
Oh, good. That is a good question. So when we weren't thinking of a name of a show because we didn't think we were doing a show. It was just us playing at home for 2.5 years. But when Felicia Day approached Ashley and was like, "Hey, shout out to Felicia, he's amazing," and was like, "Hey, we're doing a Twitch channel. Do you want to play your home game on Twitch?" We were like, "Why? No one would watch that."
Boy, were you wrong.
We were very wrong. Well, like, you know, every person who was making internet content through like the 2000s and 2010s, it was like, you know, 3 to 5 minute videos. Anything longer than that, no one has the attention span for it. And I'm like, okay, also wrong. So when the opportunity came up, we were like, well, we can't call it, you know, something like a D&D show or anything. We don't have license in that, but also like, what do we call our thing? And so we all had a chat thread, or we were throwing out ideas. I think Critical Role, I don't know who exactly to credit it to. My brain wants to say Taliesin, but I know Taliesin designed our logo, definitely. Like the dice with the sword in it, that was a Taliesin Jaffe special. It was all of us just like, yeah, shout out to Taliesin too. Love that boy. But yeah, it was just all of us trying to throw spaghetti at the wall and being like, I don't know. This probably won't be here in 6 weeks, so let's try and figure something out. And much like anybody who's created a really nerdy forum name on the internet that eventually became your online persona, and you're like, oh man, I should have put more thought into this. You know, we were trying to avoid that. We were like, let's try to make something that had a little more clever wordplay and felt like it was genuine to us. And it was like kind of the idea of like a critical role on the dice, but also we're role playing, but also we're actors who, you know, take on roles and projects. It was like, that should be enough, that's fine. It wasn't like a grandiose, like, that's the one, winner! We were like, yeah, we'll do it with that. Sure, and here we are.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
You never considered Critical Fail?
Could have been. We talked about it. There were a bunch of, we threw all kinds of bad names out there. There was a lot of like, nope. Why would I nope in the thread?
Critical Fail is a bad name, yeah.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Lex.
Oh, Lex.
Love that you panic at the table, because I do a lot. My second campaign that I built my own. My question is, what do you ask the players during the campaign? Like if they're still having fun, if they missed information, or other questions? Yeah,
I mean, those are two good examples of what I ask. I ask, are you having fun? All the time, in security. But asking them, like, do you need any clarity on things? Before every session, like, does anybody need a reminder of anything? And players would go through their notes and be like, wait, I wrote this note down, but I don't remember what it was from. And like, it was from this and from this. So it's just, before every session, I'll have kind of like a little, you know, kind of summary discussion to clarify things. Also make sure if any player's feeling lost about a narrative, you know, thread or anything. Because, as any of you know, sometimes you're present at the table, and then it'll be a few weeks before you play again sometimes, and you have life and work and chaos, and then you come back to the table again, and you're like, what happened last time? And so those are important kind of check-ins to kind of just make sure you have that kind of conversation. It helps, and I used to do it in my home games, but have a player designated to be kind of like the summary keeper at the end of each session. So when you finish playing, have one player who wants to volunteer, and it can rotate. And have one player write down like a paragraph or two of the major things that happened last session. And then the next time you all start, that person can read off what was written last time, and then you can fill in any gaps of memory and things that come up from that point. So those have been very helpful. But just checking with your players every now and then, make sure they're comfortable. You know, is there any content in the campaign that's making you uncomfortable? No? Good. Or is anybody like anything that we're heading towards that you're worried we might run into? You know, that's with like the session 0, and making sure that everyone has anything they're uncomfortable with out of the gate is a very important conversation tool. But yeah, you're on the right path.
Okay, thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Thanks. We have a player with a photographic memory, and that is very handy to have. He might be here. Shout out to Floris! That's our...
Wherever you are! You're a boon to your players and a bane to your dungeon master.
Apparently he's not here. Hello, who are you?
Hi, my name is Nico. I was wondering what would happen if banishment was cast on a Rylora where they were still on Exandria and the moon lattice is still up. Would the bloody bridge affect the outcome of the spell at all?
Oh, you.
This is a deep cut question.
No, it's interesting. Well, it's interesting because technically, Ruidus is in the same plane as Exandria. Right. So banishment wouldn't necessarily cast them to Ruidus, since it is technically the same plane. It would likely still send them to a demi-plane for the duration of the spell, based on classic, banishment rules as written. That's how I'd interpret it. Now, teleportation to Ruidus via the Bloody Bridge, that's a whole newfangled weird thing. It's probably not going to function. Trust me, many mages have tried it, and it did not end well, especially in the proximity of any of the various nexuses or the entangled ley lines as they currently sit in Exandria. Magic's a little funky still. That's an interesting... Yeah, that's my answer on that. I'll stick with it.
Thank you.
Are you a DM as well, Nico?
You a DM?
Yeah, I am. I have my party here with me today.
Oh yeah!
I can't believe how many DMs there are. I've been searching my entire life for a DM. They're all around now.
It's changing, man, because people are starting to realize that it is so much fun.
Yes, it is. Nice sweater.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, what's your name, buddy?
Joris.
It's a pleasure.
Joris.
Thank you. First of all, my compliments for your work on voicing Ganondorf in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, thank you.
However, I do have a question about that. The game never really shows much of Ganondorf's deeper motivations. For example, why is he so hell-bent on conquering Hyrule? As an actor, did you have his deeper backstory mapped out in your mind? Like his motivations?
In my mind, I had to, yeah, because the same context that you were given is all the same context that I'm given, largely, So you kind of had to fill in the gaps as a performer. For me, for Ganondorf, and you see it often through history, it's not quite a messiah complex, but the special circumstances of, the male Garuda birth and the idea of I'm a special individual and I have a special destiny is a powerful draw sometimes to try and reach further than the means that you're given. I also imagine in my mind too that beyond just entitlement, there's possibly a space of kind of representation of the Garuda being, the Garuda people being less impactful to the overall, underneath the rule of the Hylians and the whole scenario there, maybe both representing the culture there, but then eventually using that to just represent himself as a person, and eventually wanting to see himself become that, and then maybe at a younger age had found challenges and a distrust, a healthy distrust of authority, except for when you decide to become the authority, because then you're just perpetuating the cycle of violence. So that was kind of, in my mind, it was a little bit of kind of pseudo-messiah complex mixed with a general distrust and dislike of the political structures of the world and a belief that he could do it better. And the only way to ensure that it's done right is if he does it with absolute control. And then once you're in that loop, and of people nearby saying that you're right, that sort of yes man cycle, it can build into a narcissistic obsession to a very unhealthy degree. So that was kind of the basis of where I was building a lot of that, where he's still confident, he's still a very charismatic person, but much like a lot of cult leaders, bringing it back to our question earlier, that was kind of the similar kind of thread of persona that I was drawing from.
Thank you. That's very inspiring.
Yeah, I've never felt this much understanding for Ganondorf before. He seems like a stand-up guy all of a sudden.
No, he does not.
Oh, okay, that's just me being evil again. Okay.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, everyone's a victim of circumstance to a certain degree.
Of course.
And you got to keep that in mind, even for the best villains. I don't believe that every villain, historically or fictional, has to be someone you can empathize with, but you can definitely be someone you can understand why they are the way they are, even if they're just really evil and a bad person.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Peppino.
Pleasure.
What's your favorite Sam Adbit?
What was that?
The Sam Adbit, your favorite.
Oh, Sam Adbit? Oh, no. So, Sam, we don't know what he's doing when we show up. He works in secret with our production crew to get like props and costumes and things. And sometimes we'll like see bits of hidden things in the shadows on a table and we're like, what is that? And he's like, don't worry about it. And it's a scary like first act of a horror film when we show up because we don't really know what he has planned. And the more things we see kind of hidden off to the side and the more secretive the production team is being around it, the scarier it's going to be. So see, which is my favorite Sam Adbit. There's anxiety around all of them. So favorite's a unique word. But there's favorite for different reasons. There's favorite because it's genuinely funny and subversive. I love the guy that was slowly turning into a sunflower and he didn't know why. It was just so weird and kind of an avant-garde short film through a series of ad-bits that you had to pick up suddenly until when it hit you, you're like, wait, what? It was like, and I love that he's getting strange like that. Or like the French magician who was turning into a horse for no reason. Like, he's just, I'm glad that Sam's hitting his strange experimental art film era of his ad-bit scenarios. So those I'm enjoying. I like the avant-garde stuff. Then I also love the stuff that's generally very messy food related because it makes lore squick really hard. And then it becomes funny to just watch it make your friends uncomfortable. So yeah, I'd say those are some fair examples.
Thanks, Peter. Great question.
Hi, I'm Tracy Ann.
Hi.
I'm so grateful to have you here. I was wondering, would you consider yourself a forever DM, or do you have a character you just are dying to unleash upon a poor, unfortunate soul? I mean, DM.
I wouldn't say a forever DM. I'm definitely a 95% of the time GM. Actually, mathematically now, 99% of the time mathematically GM. I think there's not enough love for dwarves as a fantasy ancestry. I've always loved dwarves since I read Lord of the Rings as a kid. I just love the cultural aesthetic. I love the bombasticness of them. And none of my players have played one yet. It drives me crazy. So I've always imagined like a dwarf bard. I got to play a variation of that in EXU as Ariax. A deeply airheaded, delightful boy, Dariax. Just low intelligence, low wisdom, all charisma, poor fumbling, himbo boy. He was a lot of fun. But he was like a sorcerer more than a bard. Like a proper dwarf bard, like a traveling maestro kind of vibe. Someone who kind of in a beautiful mind way, like sees the chaos of the world and finds the music in it, and through music makes sense of the chaos. So I have a concept for a character like that, and maybe one day I'll have a chance to put out there. We'll see when or how, but when it does happen, you'll remember this conversation.
Oh, I will. He sounds like the nightmare of my partner, who was one of my first DMs. So.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's dangerous, having your partner as your DM, I think. Ooh.
Yeah, that's my wife. It's funny, like when I used to build all the maps at home before I built them at the studio, and it was like keeping them hidden on the dining room table before we left, and she'd like start walking into the room, and I'd be like, "Don't come in here! Don't look at me!"
Hi, hello. My name is Moos. Nice to meet you. Hope you're enjoying Utrecht. I was wondering, I've recently begun my own journey to becoming a voice actor.
Hell yeah!
And I was wondering if you could share a memory or a short story of your own beginnings as one.
Yeah, so I'm a nerd, big surprise. And it was through Dungeons and Dragons that I ended up getting into theater, learning that I actually kind of like performing, though still very nervous about it. But I got less nervous through dungeon mastering and then got into theater, and then I was like, wait a second, I love cartoons and video games, and I love doing funny voices and weird performing with my voice. there's a place I can do 2 of these things. And so I wanted to try for it. Now, it took a lot of time, and it is filled with rejection. Acting as a career is just wrought with rejection. It's the majority of your work time is spent being rejected. So you have to be prepared for that. But you have to keep in mind it's not because you're not good enough for the role, more than it is often that the tapestry of the entire project's casting just doesn't quite fit what you're bringing to the table. You know, you sound too similar to somebody else they want to cast as another role, or you know, the presentation of it all there, they want someone with a slightly different vibe because you have something that's better for another character in another project down the road than this one. So it's like, it helped me a lot to realize that a lot of the rejection was not because I was bad and should just stop this and run away, because just circumstances that are beyond your control. And anytime you're in an audition, the instinct is to go, oh God, they're waiting for me to fail and kick me out. That's not the case. They want you to do this so bad. Every director, casting director, you walk into that audition, they're like, please nail it. It makes our job so much easier. So like, they're cheering you on, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but you have to remind yourself to like, and everyone wants this to work. So that helped me kind of feel a little more comfortable about it. But as far as like the beginnings of the career, a lot of it was just trying my best, working hard at it, looking for new ways to learn, taking workshops, trying to research and study different performance techniques, a lot of breathing. For voiceover, breathing is very important. So like singing classes can help a lot for that, because the proper breathing is very important. You know, stand at the very edge of your seat with proper section and work on that diaphragm work. Yeah, all those are very helpful in this realm. But another thing to keep in mind too is a lot of the job for voiceover is cold reading. You often don't get the script in advance, and then you're by yourself in a room with padded foam walls and a massive microphone and a glass window and a director, producer, and a sound engineer, and more people in the other room going, all right, page 1, line 1, give us an A and a B take, go. And you just have to go off and run. So like, learning how to make choices in the moment, whether or not it's the right choice doesn't matter. The director is there to help you tune that in, but still just making a bold choice based on the information you have and being able to read things off the cuff is a lot of the career. So cold reading is an important skill to develop. You can buy graphic novels as a good practice mode and just record yourself reading the dialogue out loud for the first time that you're reading it. So you just look at the script and you're just trying to interpret it in the moment without any sort of pre-writing or pre-reading of it, then listen back to it and hear the things that worked well, the things that you might want to tweak in future attempts. And that's just a good way to kind of hone that muscle. I found that very helpful in the early stages too.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Good luck, man.
Thank you. We got 2 more questions.
I'm Matt.
Hello, what's your name?
Jurgen.
Jurgen.
I love the people at the downfall table, but if you were a player at the downfall table, which god did you want to play?
Oh, good question.
Outside of, look, if Abubakar couldn't have been at that table, I think Archart would have been my choice because of what Archart represented, but in no way, shape, or form could I have ever shined as brightly as that as Abu did. He was so good. Oh, I love him. Like, we've been friends for a long time, and I've loved him already as a person, but that was the first opportunity to really drag him into our world as a player, and he just shined so freaking brightly, and I will pull that man into many games to come, kicking and screaming if he'll let me. Yeah, probably Archart. If not the Archart, I think Moonweaver would have been a fun one on that too. Because Moonweaver hasn't gotten a whole lot of like presence in the narrative so far. There just hasn't been like stories or characters that I've pulled into it too strongly. So those would be my 2 choices. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Great question. The last question, I'm very disappointed, but yeah, this is the last question of the day.
That's all good. Let's go.
Hi.
Hi, what's your name?
Lawrence.
Lawrence, pleasure.
Lawrence, thank you for being here. As a starting DM, how do I prepare for people like Sam Riegel, because my friends are ADHD as fuck?
Nothing will prepare you for players like Sam Riegel. The thing to remind yourself is that the point of the game is for everyone to have fun. And if a player's way of having fun is through that sort of chaos, facilitating that, as long as it's not disrupting other people's fun, is about just learning to let go and letting them run. And then listening. You have to listen, because often they're giving you wonderful opportunities to take notes down and come back and then throw their chaos back at them. Punish them for their insolence with their own weapon. Playfully, respectfully, supportively. But yeah, like it's, you know, you don't want to deny them finding the way they have fun. Let them run with it. Often they'll hand you the rope to hang them with. But as long as it's not disrupting other players at the table. And part of that too is communicating, checking in with the players. If they have a particularly crazy scene or a session where they kind of take the spotlight heavily, you know, check in afterward with the players and be like, everyone was cool with that? And if everyone's like, yeah, that was great. You know, and also check in with that person to make sure that they're also supporting other players and, you know, passing the spotlight around. Those are just generally good etiquette points at the table. But there's no way to prepare for a player like Sam. You just gotta let them do their thing and then wait for the right moment to do it right back at them.
Right.